Hello there. My name is Dr. Tolu Alugo from St. John Cap. Here at St. John Cap, we empower youth mental health through education, and we also provide support to caregivers to look after their own emotional health whilst caring for their children. So today I have a very special guest with me. I'm going to get her to introduce herself, Dr. Ngozi. She's going to tell us all about herself, and our topic for today is looking good and feeling good, because we know that these two are interrelated. So I'm going to get her to, give us more info about that. Thank you so much, Dr. Ngozi, for joining me today. Please introduce yourself before we kick off the conversation.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be on here with you. So, for those that don't know me, I'm Dr. Ude. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I'm based in Martinsburg, West Virginia. I own a practice, namely Apple Valley Family Medicine, and I also own an aesthetic practice. My goal is to have my patients not only feeling good, but looking good.
Wow, that is so good. And I think my main goal today is really to tap your brain about this aesthetic practice and what that entails. Because I know that, yes, if we're not feeling great, we don't look good, and vice versa. So I'm just wondering, what kind of things can we do from inside out to improve how we look?
Okay. So, I mean, for me, from my core, I am primary care. I'm a doctor, always and foremost. So, my approach to aesthetics is literally from the inside out. So, a lot of my patients, I talk to them about wellness. Um, to me, there are multiple pillars of that. One of them is nutrition, so cleaner eating, hydration, physical activity, sleep, and then mental health and just kind of your emotional, well-being. So to tap into each of them. So and I can't go into as much detail, but I'll kind of give the general gist of what I usually talk to my patients about. So for nutrition, I usually talk about a high protein diet, low carb. Most of the good um, recommendations for eating diets, if you will, are usually low carb. Carbohydrates is the form of energy that your body prefers, but when you do a ton of it, it can cause weight gain. So, for me, the differentiation, I always talk about simple and complex carbs. So simple would be processed stuff, donuts, um, cookies. So those are the ones that I usually say try to cut out of your diet. Um,
Mhm.
Love our patients to do 100% of what we say, but that would be hypocritical because we can't do 100% either. So what I tell people is if you're doing most of this stuff 80 to 20%, I mean 80% of the time, the 20%, is not as much of a big deal. So most of the time I talk about the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time I hope you are doing this. So again, so to go back to it, cut out the simple carbs as much as possible. Complex carbs like potatoes, I don't know, pasta, you want to minimize. Okay. What I recommend is the protein. So your meats, fishes, seafood,
Mhm.
keep them as lean as possible. Then, as far as water intake, we should be drinking about half of our body weight in ounces. So, for example, if somebody is 140 pounds, then they should be doing about 70 ounces, which is about, if you're doing an 8-ounce glass, then it's about 8 of them. So I always tell people, ballpark, you should be doing about 8 glasses of water minimum a day. Obviously, easier said than done. So remember my 80-20. If 80%, so I tell my
Mhm.
patients, hydration, if 80% of what you're drinking is water, then I don't really worry as much about the 20%
Right.
because most of the time you're doing the right thing. Um, so what's the next thing? So then the next one is sleep. So experts would say essentially 7 to 9 hours. Magic number is 8. Things like avoiding alcohol or stimulants like caffeine closer to bedtime, avoiding heavy meals around bedtime, giving yourself a good environment, sleeping in a cool environment so you're not waking up hot, keeping your room environment dark and not having as much stimulation, keeping your devices away from you the best you can. A big one is television. I usually recommend that if you can, not to have it in the room, but if you have it in the room, then have it switched off. Because I'll have patients that'll tell me, oh, they leave it on, but the volume is down.
Mm-hmm.
That still affects your sleep. So doing all these little things here and there, but sleep is very beneficial. There's a whole talk in itself, but it helps your brain function. It helps you not to be foggy during the day. Obviously, it minimizes your stress, because if you're not at your tip-top shape mentally, then you're missing things, and that increases your actual stress level. So sleep, very, very important. The growth hormone, which is our reparative hormone, is highest when you sleep. So sleep, I mean, you just have to have it. The other thing is, when you don't sleep well, you actually crave sugar the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That also, so a lot of this wellness things that we talk about, they tie in together in different ways. And a lot of these things that I'm saying, most people know it. Your doctors always tell you to eat better, to hydrate better, to sleep better, but it really, really, truly is the thing to do. And then the other one, the fourth one, is exercise. So the recommendation is an hour a day. But I mean, it's easier said than done. So
True.
what you can do, you do. So most people, once I say workouts, people are thinking gym membership. Not necessarily. Now, if the signing up for a gym is what's going to help you, absolutely, whatever is going to help you. But me personally, I do YouTube videos, and I play it with the kids in the evening. So I incorporate it in my life. And
Right.
I don't do it 100% of the time. My goal is 5 days a week. But a lot of times I will, get it 3 days a week. And there's some days I might be down to one a week, but I'm really always trying to make sure that I'm getting it in there. So I average about three to 5 times a week is what I and then as far as the mental piece, emotional health, that piece has, me time. And, me, women, women at the end of the day, we take care of our families. We're caregivers, and we always put everybody first before us. So women are my heart, and a lot of my patients come in, they don't have time to take care of themselves. They're stressed, they're working, they're taking care of their kids. So I always ask this question, do you get to spend time? Do you have a set me time? And a lot of the times it's no. So what I always tell them is, it's not selfish to make time for yourself. Not selfish at all. Because when you're not well taken care of, then, I mean, you're not able to, you can't give what you don't have. So for me personally, when I'm stressed out, I get snappy. I'm not giving my kids my best, my family my best. So I've learned to make sure that I'm well taken care of. So with that said, you want to have your me time scheduled. Ideally, it would be once a week, but if you can't make once a week, then start with at least once a month. You take a few hours. I usually say like a half work day. So either like an 8 to 12 or a 1 to 5 or whatever works for you. If you want to stay at home and sleep it off, you can do that. That's up to you. But make sure that if you decide to stay home, there's no one home. Because guess what? You know how it works. You're home.
They're knocking at your door and calling you, mom, 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 mom.
Right away, because you're the one that's taking care of a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I always tell them, if you want to stay home, no problem, but there's nobody home. And I always hold my ear when I say it. No grocery shopping for the kids. No, that's not the time, because you're going to get those things done, but that's not what this time is for. So, and sometimes I will say, hey, maybe you don't even let them know that that's what it is. Sometimes I tell my patients, tell, your partner or whoever, I say, I have an appointment. Because if they know it's me time, then hey, can you stop by and pick up? Can you? So
True.
until you build it in and you're more confident to say that. So me time is a big one. Investing in yourself. What are you listening to on a daily basis? Surrounding yourself with, positive content, listening to the right things on your way in, building on yourself. Who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with? I even talk to patients about that. If you have someone that every time you're around them, they're mentally draining, they suck the energy out of you, you're tired, you're stressed, even if it's family. I'm not saying cut family off, but might want to minimize that interaction to get yourself together.
To protect your space, that's absolutely important. Yeah.
protect your space. So those are the kind of things I'm talking about with mental health and just me time and building on yourself and loving on yourself, scheduling things. If you like to, window shop or whatever, you go do that. If you like to read, then you incorporate that, but leaving a little bit of you in there, because a lot of, my patients, they're moms, and by the time you take all the responsibilities working outside the home or even working inside the home, which is even harder as far as I'm concerned, doing all those things, you get lost in the sauce, and then they're blaming themselves. So we blame ourselves that, oh,
We feel guilty. We feel like we're not doing enough. Absolutely. And I really love the 5 pillars you've mentioned. So exercise, healthy diet, sleep, having time for yourself, and what was the fifth one again? Now I forgot.
mental, emotional, and
Your emotional health generally. And I love the 80/20 rule, because a lot of the parents I talk to are caring for a child with a mental health diagnosis, autism, ADHD, whatever it is, or even just physical health diagnosis, and they're all consuming. And if you're not careful, you just find that like you said, you get lost in the sauce. And if you can't look after yourself, then you're too drained to be there for your child. So your child is just getting the crumbs, because you are really literally just,
on
you know,
fuel.
maxing out at this point. So I wanted us to talk today about skincare, because I also believe that it's also part of, just pampering yourself is also caring for your skin, but it comes from inside out. So obviously, if you've exercised, you've drank enough water, you're getting enough sleep, you're getting me time. Is there anything else we can? I mean, so we hear about skincare routines. Number one, do these routines work? Number two, do you have a routine that you think would work for a busy mom?
So usually a lot of the things I would recommend are things that are obviously quick and are doable, because a lot of my patients, I don't know about yours, are on the go and are busy. So the way I divide up skincare is you should have a good cleanser because you want to clean your skin. You should have a good treatment if you need one. You should have a good moisturizer, and then you want to have your protection. So cleansers, there's a whole variety of cleansers out there. But you want to make sure you have a good one, especially if you use makeup and you put things on your skin. Your skin has to be able to breathe. So a lot of times you want to cleanse your skin. You wake up in the morning, you cleanse. And so once you've done the good cleanser, then the treatment in that category is things like, if well, I always say retinols. And what retinols do is they help to increase the cell turnover of the skin. You only need a small amount, and this is not something that you necessarily have to do every day. So with the retinols, it's 1 to 3 times a week. Some people end up needing it 5 times a week, but what it does is it just helps to improve the cell turnover. How I explain it to patients is baby's skin cell turnover is every 3 days. Once you get further along, as you get older, then it becomes a month, then it becomes 6 weeks, and that's how the skin gets dry and scaly and all that stuff. So that's why the baby's skin is nice and fresh, because they're having that cell turnover. And so that's what retinol helps to do, is bring newer skin to the surface. So technically retinol helps with a lot of different skin conditions. Acne, because it's going to clear it up quicker. It helps to with wrinkles, because if you have newer skin coming to the surface, it's helping with that. Even pigments as well. So again, treatment category depends on what's going on with your skin. If you don't have anything in particular, retinol would be a good one. And retinol, only use it at night, because it's broken down by the sun, and it can be irritating if you use it during the day. Moisturizer, good moisturizer, you definitely want something that's hypoallergenic. And then obviously you want your skin nice and refreshed and plump. So drinking water also helps this. So the hydration moisturizes skin. So that if you're hydrating and drinking enough, you won't most likely won't need as much moisturizer. And then the protection, the last one is sunscreen. So, and basically the number is the 30 SPF. Now, for African American, for me personally, when I was growing up, I wasn't raised using sunscreen, but I always tell my African American brothers and sisters that We have a built-in about 8 to 13 SPF, depending on how dark the skin is. So as you notice, it's not 30. So we do need that protection. And
Right.
you a lot, but you should be having that barrier. And sunscreen should be the last thing you put on because it protects the skin. And that's what I would say.
Wow, I love that. This seems so simple because I remember my cousin telling me about this 9-step skincare. And I said, how on earth am I going to have time to do 9 steps every day? That's going to fall by the wayside. So if you say cleanse, treat, if I need to treat, moisturize and protect, I think that's kind of doable and quick
Yeah.
and so at what so I know because you have an aesthetic practice, I'm just being nosy here because I always tell myself if I ever were to walk into Dr. Ngozi's practice, I wouldn't even know my left from my right or what is what's the filler, what kind of stuff do you offer? And at what point do people need those things or what do they do, you know?
I gotcha. So, as far as options that we provide, there is Botox. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard about it. What those do is they help with wrinkles. And to be honest with you, I have patients that are even 18 and up because what basically Botox does is a neurotoxin that it freezes the muscle. So when you are thinking and you have the frown lines, people that are very expressive are the ones that deal with wrinkles. It's kind of one of the first side effects of
Mhm.
very expressive.
Right.
Oh, you have to be careful where you put it though, because that's why you have to go to the an experienced professional to help you with it. We will put it around the eyes, so we call those the crow's feet. When you have a big smile, the lines that come up, and
Mhm.
so what happens is if you have it placed correctly, when you have a pretty bright smile, if you have lines developing, it'll smooth those out. We put them in between the brows. Forehead is another really common place that we use it. You have to be very careful around the mouth. We do use it there, like if people have like people maybe history of smoking or they just build lines from pursing their lips. We'll put a little bit, but you don't want to put a lot because if you put a lot, again, it relaxes that muscle. So things like sucking on a straw or like, it's kind of really affect things if it's not done right. So, and then nasolabial folds, we don't put it there because I mean, literally, if you smooth that muscle, it's just gonna so it's only certain places. But most people, I have really young patients that come in and they don't even want to see a wrinkle at all. And so that's what I would do for. The effect lasts about 3 months. I have patients that it lasts up to 6 months. So it depends on the clients, but I usually tell everybody it lasts about 3 months. Then the other big one that we do is a filler. Now, the best way to think, because filler, we also use it for wrinkles, but the best way to explain it is the lines that you have from moving your face is what you would use Botox for because it relaxes the muscle. Now, if your face is at rest and you're not making any facial expressions, so let's say you have really deep, strong frown lines and you've been doing it for years, and when your face is relaxed, you have deep frown lines still, that's when you would put filler. So
Okay.
filler fills in. So usually I always have people make facial expressions for me. So if it's lines that, hey, from moving your face in certain areas, then Botox. If it's at rest and you still have those lines, then we can fill in. Obviously, things like lip filler, um, even just because as we get older, we start losing cushioning in the face and certain areas. And so we can put it in the cheekbone area. So there are definitely a lot of places so that's more aesthetic. So what I always recommend is doing the wellness piece. Pretty much everybody needs to do that because we're all busy and we all need to take care of ourselves. Then whatever is left over that you need help with, then we're definitely here to help with that.
Great. Wow, that's great information. I never knew the difference between Botox and fillers. It was just all this thing in media. So it's
Yeah.
great to know the difference. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before I let you go, do you have any last words of advice for us about feeling good and looking good?
So, I mean, from me, it's what I practice, and I will say it again, you are worth it. Take care of yourself. We only get to live life once. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is it, people. So take really good care of yourself. It's not selfish to put yourself first. Not at all. It's not selfish to put yourself first. Put yourself first, and your family and your loved ones, even yourself, you will thank yourself for it. And anybody that is looking to connect with me, you can find me online. My website is www.applevalleyfamilymed.com. And I have a show, Weekly Dose with Dr. Ude, where I actually give running tips, and I actually had Dr. Tolu on there, and we have our podcast, the Weekly Dose of Dr. Ude. It streams on Facebook, YouTube, and now we actually have a podcast. So we will be giving tidbits and topics on questions that you have for primary care doctors. So thank you so much, Dr. Tolu.
I'm just going to type out the name of your podcast. It's Weekly Dose with Dr. Ude, right? Yeah, I'm just going to show that as well. Great. So you guys follow Dr. Ude. If you are in the area, go see her for all the extra things you need to have done to make you feeling good, looking good. Or if you're just looking for a primary care physician, visit her. Remember to follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Share the podcast. It's called Walking on Eggshells with Dr. Tolu. It's on any platform that has podcasts. And I would love to hear your feedback. And again, if you have a preteen that you're looking to educate and improve their emotional health awareness, I've got a program called the Emotions Ambassador Program. So look on my website, www.stjohncap.com, and it gives you information about all of these social media platforms, the podcast, the course, and all of that. And I will see you again soon. Thank you so much, Dr. Ngozi. It was great to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank you so much.